Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be working on this Ficus benjamina. This was a tree from Zin's collection, and when he downsized his collection, he gave this tree to me. Zin and I have worked on this tree in the past, and today I'm going to prune it up, getting it back to shape. Here's a look at the tree. So this is a regular leaf-size Ficus benjamina, so you can see the leaves are quite big on it. They can be reduced by pruning, defoliation, and constant pinching. And as the tree gets root bound and you get more branches, the leaf size also reduces from that. So I'm going to start today by weeding. There's a lot of weeds growing in the soil. So I'll do that cleanup and then I'll start the pruning. I'll come in with the tweezers and just try and get the weeds out by the roots. These kind of weeds are fairly easy to get out. They always come up with the roots, which is good. But they do get seed pods on top, so if you let them grow too much, the seed pods burst open and spray all kinds of seeds everywhere, and you end up with more weeds. So it's always a good idea to keep up with your weeding if you can. I've been doing fairly well this year. Every time I work on a tree, I weed them, make sure everything's good, and yeah, I would say this one's not too bad. So I've let this tree grow over the entire summer, and it was on the floor of the greenhouse. It wasn't out in the full sun or anything, and just because I brought it from the plant room out to the greenhouse here onto the floor so it wouldn't get too much light till it got used to the sun, and I just never got it outside. It just stayed on the floor of the greenhouse. So, but it's grown well. Most ficus, in the full sun can be maybe a little too intense, especially in spring and early summer. The sun is very, very strong and you get quite long days, and it can be too much. So if you notice your ficus kind of yellowing or not being happy, if it dries out too quickly, you might want to move it to a shadier spot and it'll green up and start getting a little more healthy. So this tree is definitely healthy, and you can see it's grown aerial roots over the summer, which is kind of nice. There's a few coming off the trunk there. And that's just because of the humidity here in the greenhouse and the lower light levels. It helps grow aerial roots. So there's just a few more weeds out the back here. Okay, so let's step back and have a look at the tree and decide a pruning strategy. I'm just stepping back, having a look at the tree. So one of the main problems of this tree was, you can see the main trunk line divides into two, which is fine if you want to develop that, broom style umbrella canopy. The problem is these lower branches are growing up to create part of the broom style, and these upper ones are getting too thick. So, what to do? It's possible to change the front of the tree. There's been a big pruning mark here. There's a big scar where I think a trunk was taken off. I've got some branching up at this level, which would kind of form my broom style canopy. This one branch back here doesn't really have any branching coming out this direction. Otherwise I could cut it off shorter. And on these Ficus benjamina, I like to keep some green leaves at all the growing tips. If you prune it back to just, if I was to prune this trunk off, just making a woody stump, oh, there goes a spider, it may or it may not grow new branches. That trunk line could just die back to the trunk, to the major trunk. So it's pretty, it's a little risky if you do hard pruning on these Ficus benjamina. It's always safer to leave some green leaves at the tip, and that branch will survive. So in this case, It wouldn't really matter if I just kept the single trunk there. It has some branching up top. It would form that canopy. So if I hard prune this back trunk and it dies off, it wouldn't really affect the styling of the tree. If I hard prune it off and I get some new shoots coming out to form some branching in this area, it would be good. So I think I'm going to take that risk. I'm going to get the ratcheting pruners and cut that trunk line back. And I've already cut it back here once and it had a shoot on the inside. I'm going to try right here. So here I go. Big cut coming up right there. Taking that whole top off that branch. So you can see it doesn't really affect the styling too much of the tree. So next, I'm going to start reducing these upright shoots. I'm going to prune all the long branches back. So the leaves on this tree are staggered. There's one to the right here, one to the left, right, left. So I'm going to prune it back too. I don't want, this one's coming out the front, I don't want it kind of an eye poker branch, so I'm going to redirect it a bit. So I'm going to prune it back to here. This upright one here, I've got a branch here, there's a shoot with a bud there, so I'm just going to take it off here. This one I've got a branch out the back, I've got a branch here, so I've got to take it off at least to here, but it's still too straight a section in this area, so I'm going to have to take it back harder. There's a leaf here, so I'll get a branch out here, so I'll take it right back to here. This shoot out here, I can take it back to here. The one out the back to here. On this trunk line, I do have a leaf here and a leaf here, and there's buds at the base, so I think I'll take this back further. I'll lose the one branch up top, but it'll get rid of that straight section. It's getting a little too long, so that can come off to there. This branch here, I've got a nice branch that fans out here, but there's one growing kind of a strange direction. It goes back in towards the center of the tree, so that can come right out. There's another one here growing in towards the center of the tree. That can come out. I'll shorten this one, and I can go right back to here. This branch, I can come back to here. This one, right back to here. And then the upright one, which will be part of the canopy eventually. I just want to shorten it. And I think to here. So you can see it's getting its form back. This long one out the back, take it off to here. This one to here. And I'm just checking if there's a scale insect on it. No. This one I can take right back to here. And then out the back, I've got some good branching here. I will put it to there, and to here, and to here. Shortening all that growth. So let me step back and have a look at the styling of the tree now and see if I'm on the right track or not. So there's a few problem areas. One, I've got kind of a straight section on this branch, and I think I'd be better to remove the tip at least on it. So I could take off the tip here. I've still got two branches there. This lower branch kind of crosses over top of the branch behind it, so I think I'd be better just to keep the upper one, so I'm taking this one right off. that sorts out this branch structure. Now this one, it kind of grows up, but it's had some pruning. It's got some taper and some subtle movement, so I think that one's okay. I wonder if I could reduce it more. Maybe not. I think I'll have to leave that. Up in the canopy, these straight sections are quite straight. And it is, you know, this is the most vigorous zone of the tree, so I think I've got to cut those straight sections back further. So I could take this right off here and then cut this one back, kind of reducing that. I could cut this straight section back further. There's some leaves down lower. I can cut this one back further. Some severe cuts there. I've got a branch going straight up here. I'm going to take that right off like that. I think I'll reduce this one back a bit further to there, and I could even reduce this one back a bit. I will to here at least. There's one at the back here I need to prune. And there's an old leaf I can take off here and here. Just getting a little more light into this section. Oh, there's another old leaf here I can take off. This one I've got a vertical branch. I'll cut that off. And I think I'll take the center out of this one. I've got some division there, and I'll take the tip off. Kind of reducing that back branch a bit. Bring everything in a little tighter. So if I look at the tree now, yeah, this one branch on the left-hand side is still, it's a bit straight, isn't it? I think what I'll do is I'll do a hard prune back to this lower branch here, right to here. And then this branch will grow up and should look quite good in the future. There's a shoot on the inside here. I'll just take that out. There's a bud and a leaf. I could even take this one back further. Really reducing that. I don't know if I can do a whole lot more. That's really got the tree down to the basics, but you know, the basics are looking good. There is a straight section at the back here that I could reduce back to this leaf. It's getting a little long, and there's an old leaf here I can take out, and one here. This one could get tip pruned. And I think that's it. I think the tree is, you know, back to basics. Everything's looking good on it now. We'll see what happens with this branch. It's starting to rain out now. Yeah, we'll see what happens if it gets some new shoots coming off of it, or if it dies back. Well, that's the tree I'll be left with. So either way, the tree will look good in the future. It looked very dark and cloudy today, so I checked the weather and it said there was a 0% chance of rain. So I was just outside watering all my trees because tomorrow I will be in Burlington at the Bonsai at the Royal Botanical Gardens show. So I'll be away, so I wanted to make sure all my trees were well watered. And now it's raining, so all that watering was probably for nothing, but that's the way it goes. Here is a look at what I took off the tree today. So a lot of branches, leaves, shoots, everything. And here's what's left. So, but you know, it's developing quite nicely, this tree. It's getting subtle movement in all the branches. And yeah, I think it has potential for the future. I don't have any, you know, really obnoxious straight sections of rapid growth. And that's what I keep doing. I just keep pruning it, and eventually, as the tree matures, you get a really nice ficus. Today was another step in the evolution of Zin's Ficus benjamina. And that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.